Hello and welcome back to our channel. My name is Francisco and I work for Virtual CNS. And here I'm about to show you a little bit about Office 365 and how some applications works. In the past couple of videos, we have shown you different applications, what we think is the most important out there, what most of the business, small business and medium-sized business use in this case, and then we're exploring other applications as we move along. In this particular presentation, we wanted to actually give you some insight about 3 applications available also in this Office 365 package. We're going to show you, typically we analyze each application individually, video by video, but we wanted to show you 3 because in reality, these are very straightforward. I don't think there is much really to go in depth on each application, and it's going to be fairly quick. But I think it's important to use here, as you guys can see, and this is something to clarify. Microsoft has for some reason divided just the way how Outlook desktop version used to be. For example, if you guys can see here, there is Outlook, but again, you have here calendar, and then here you have people, okay? And then here you have task. So all these 4 applications, if you actually use the app, you actually use to have the desktop version installed in your computer, you have that under one application. Here, they are yet still integrated, but they are also classified as different applications. I'm assuming the main idea is that they're going to start exploring more options and maybe add more functionality. So they want to make a separate application. But at the end of the day, they do integrate with each other a lot. So in here, if we do the calendar, for example, we're going to go into here, okay? Right now in our organization, we actually use another application that we use for our daily calendar. So my calendar is not going to be too active, but we do have some basic application or calendar events that are happening depending on the situation of the week. But again, this is how it looks in your case if you log on and you're not using for the first time. And it's very similar to what we used to do before. You can create events here on the left side. Obviously, you can do different information when it comes to that event. You can set it up to be busy, depending on the type of work. You can actually send invites and be able to choose when and how you're going to be able to connect with other people through a calendar. This is nice. One of the things that actually the most used, where you can actually see other people's calendar. You don't see the details, of course, but you see if they're available. And that way, once you send an invite to them, you know exactly more or less how their day is, and most likely if they will respond with a positive answer. Here, obviously, once you click on here, you're going to find the details of the meeting. Pretty much who is going to be required for the meeting, if it's going to be you, with somebody else, or maybe different teams in your organization. On the left side here, obviously, you have the way to categorize your calendars if you have multiple calendars available to your organization. And again, calendars are very straightforward, not really much to go with. I think it's very self-explanatory. The most important thing is just how the calendar these days in Microsoft Office 365 integrates with the other application. That's the one key to have in mind when using this, okay? Which is a little bit different from what we used to do in the past when you will have just your calendar and then no other integrations to do. Okay, the other application, I'm going to close this one out, and then we're going to go to Microsoft Whiteboard. Here, if you guys see someone here you go, is the actual application. Again, this is a very easy to use application, but depending on your organization, I think it's nice to have. So you're going to create a new whiteboard. What is this typically used for? Is really for presentations. For example, if you're sharing the screen, you want to have a way to draw something. Maybe you want to draw a server here, and then you want to do actually a line, and then you want to change the color. Okay, and then you want to do a PC. If you're explaining something about an office, for example, you can delete some of the sections. You can recreate with different color. And again, and that's about it. I mean, there's not much really to show, but the most important thing here is that, yeah, this is nice. Because again, if you are talking right now to, if you have a meeting, and then how do you display something visually instead of, obviously, you're trying to describe this with your words. But no, maybe it's easy to draw something. Some people open sometimes Notepad, or sometimes they open MS Paint, or maybe an application that is more complex. But Microsoft had this available in case you want to really just show you different things and you want to draw something while you have a presentation, I guess. Okay. Then one of the things that I think is nice to have is you click on here on the right side, you can actually create and share a link, a sharing link available. So if you want to have a meeting and say, hey, where do I go? You can actually have that link and they can see this from their computers, okay? And that's something nice. Instead of actually logging in and sharing the screen, you can actually see this at the same time. So I think the whiteboard for that particular purpose can be very, very useful, certainly, okay? So we're gonna close this one out, and then last but not least, we're gonna show you this one here, this application, Delph in this case, from Microsoft. This application, and again, is very easy to use. Yeah, most of the time, or some people use for data. Okay, what kind of data? What kind of activity is your team having at this point? So, for example, my classification in this case is showing me that I'm looking and creating content. For example, is one of my jobs to do some PDFs that I see out there. But you can also go, for example, to the accounting team and start seeing some of the applications that they use for the most part. So here you can see the accountants recent documents. They're working on something like this. The interaction, okay, for that, and then more documents available. Operations, for example, you can see here. If you click on the profile, you can see some information about the profile for this particular department or person that is working on, and the type of files. How many views, for example, how often they actually use this for. Click here, person, to see what they're working on, okay? And then obviously you can discover other applications. Solutions, for example, in our department, they don't use Office 365 too often, and that's why you don't see much documents in here. But that's about it. So that's why we wanted to show you this application. Very easy in reality, because there's not really much. But again, Microsoft classified this as a separate application, and they do that to simplify the process. I think it's actually a good idea, because they could have integrated this with maybe analytics, but then that's where you start getting things confusing. That's where you start really confusing one thing with another one, for example. And of course, then at the end of the day, it becomes more difficult, more of a challenge in reality for you to use Office 365. And that's about it. So I'm going to close this out. And then this ends the conversation, the video, in regards to these three applications that, again, are very useful for your organization. And then obviously it's up to you which one you decide the most. Maybe you want to use them all. Maybe you want to use the most important ones that I think are going to help your business to grow. Thanks again for watching our video. And if you have any questions, you can send an email to info@virtualcns.com, and we'll be happy to help. Thanks again.